So this was a big question in this. Why 18 black sets sprayed around this or painted around this? And that was to mark the big disc Fred West Sutcliffe serial killer frame. And I did go to Rowland Solicitors, which is just around the corner down there past Little's. Spoke to Mr. Rowlands, who later became a judge, so a very good judge of character. Showed him all the death threats full of paedophile, serial killer, rapist, black wizard lies, and he said, Johnny, you got a very good case of character assassination, but not suing anyone, just to clear my name, wasn't about money. He said, you're looking at £21,000 and you can't get legal aid, so we couldn't clear my name. So we marked up, put 18 black sets on the hardcore in this SS police, this council spies, cronies and informers who were pushing this big monster frame around this to bring it out into the public domain. And that all got mentioned in the Dis Express, so brought a lot of attention. And people called me the Z-Man, or said that I thought I was Sorrow. And obviously I do like the Sorrow films and how he marked up those, conspiring against him with a Z. But the Z, the reason I used a Z was not because I thought I was Sorrow, it's because I went to Kenya, Kisumu, Kenya, because the sword was out and there was genocide on the horizon. And Jaffa and his Yardie gang, they'd threatened to burn my mother alive the next time they saw her in her car. And I'd just lost a good friend, Philip Hewitt, who up at Roydon, just a mile up that way, his car had overturned and had caught fire, and he was trapped in his seatbelt. They couldn't get him out. And the Lord gave me Psalm 18 for Philip. Tangled in the cords of death, but yeah, I called upon the Lord. So I knew that if Philip wasn't saved in this world, he was saved in the world to come. So that was my reason for going to Kenya. Jaffa and his Yardie gang in their late 20s, threatening they would burn my mother alive the next time they saw her in a car. And genocide on the horizon. And God confirmed I was to go, and to go urgently. Not one single penny from anybody. And from Kisumu, Rwanda would be like from here to Wales. So if you can imagine the next 100 days that 1 million people are hacked to death in Wales. I mean, we were closer to the conflict when we were in Kampala and Uganda, getting children from Uganda and Rwanda out of Kampala back into Kenya, would be like from here to Birmingham. But if you can imagine 1 million people being hacked to death in Wales over the next 100 days, women, children, the elderly, mass graves that you could put the population of this into, people dancing with fiendish delight in their victims' blood, real bloodlust, the worst manifestation of atrocities and evil you can imagine. So that's why I used to said, people, DC Free, Hope Church Now, the Roy Lincoln lawyer, George Harris, Burr and Co, Royal Mail Post the Assassins, because I lived opposite Victoria Road Post Office, were all saying that my going was a hoax and I was a fake and I was in bondage to fear and the devil. But that was never the case. God told me to go, and to go urgently. And as I flew into Kenya, every plane was fully booked with everyone coming out, because over 300 years of white rule was being overturned in South Africa. And they also allege that I was staying in a 5-star really nice hotel in Kenya, having sex with black hookers, grooming young girls, abusing children, all paid for by churches and the people of TikTok Toxic Town Dis, which was never the case. And had these false allegations been true, then I would have served at least 18 months or a 3-year sentence according to Dis police. But there was no truth in these big monster lies that were going around Dis. And plus I was running a hostel for homeless young men, So that was my Christian calling. So there was all the Fred West, Sutcliffe, lies coming out from the bottom end of Victoria Road, being spun all around this by Royal Mail Post Office. And then the big question is, the other thing you have to factor in is the unexpected when you least expect it. And being caught in the wrong place at the wrong time can be fatal. Now the Roy Lincoln lawyer, he was the leader of DC3, who claimed my going was a hoax and that I was a con and that was all about money. It was never about money. How much is your mother's life worth when a gang are threatening to burn her alive? And also I'd read where a Yardie gang in London had burnt a woman with a hot clothes iron on her body and her face. But his wife, not too long back, she's, lovely lady Sylvia, she was hit by a lorry and put into Adam Brooks with serious brain injuries, and has since, gone home to heaven's glory, and now in God's eternal love and care. But she was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time on her push bike, and she was killed. And Mr. Newbury, who was again no longer with us, God rest his soul, who was the Roy Lincoln lawyer's right hand man, also making all these false claims about myself, all being rolled out of DC3, and all these other monster black lies. His mother-in-law, Flo Lee, was in a fatal accident on the 1066 just outside of Thetford. She was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then recently a woman here was hit by a Royal Mail lorry and she was fatally killed. And before that, just over there by the traffic lights, a little old lady was standing there, a Crane Mill lorry came by and she somehow hooked on the lorry and that dragged her down the road. The lorry driver didn't even realise that she was on the side of the lorry, and she was fatally killed. So we're all in range of the unexpected when you least expect it. And another reason why I used the said to really push out the big monster serial killer framing this, standing on the shores of Lake Victoria, there was a big electrical storm over the lake, and I say the lake is the size of England, and this electrical storm was really impressive. There was bolts of lightning, sheet lightning, the bolts were just going one side of the sky to the other. And while I was standing there, the Lord said to me, "Johnny, the sword is out in Africa. The sword is out in the Middle East. The sword is out in the Far East. And the sword is out in Europe." And I know it was the Lord's voice in my spirit, because I was really surprised when the Lord said that the sword was out in Europe, because nothing was happening in Europe. I could understand the sword being out in Africa, the Middle East, the Far East, but like I say, nothing was happening in Europe. So I was really surprised when the Lord said the sword is out in Europe. And then not long after my return, then the Balkans erupted, and there was terrible atrocities and mass graves on our front doorstep in Europe, in the Balkans with Serbia. And there were radar planes up over East Anglia because they were flying in from Mildenhall and Lakenheath, bombing Serbia. So that was another reason that, I used the said, because the sword is out. And it's also written in scripture that the sword of the Lord is flashing like lightning, from east to west, polished for slaughter, for judgment, because of the evil hearts of men. And in the book of Revelations, chapter 9, you've got the kings of the east, an unstoppable land army who slay a third of mankind in the end times, which we're now in. And then you've got Mog and Magog, who'll come down from the far north like an avalanche on a day just like today. It'll be war. And 3 world wars, 666, precision engineered. A high-tech, highly efficient, effective, global killing machine. So like I say, how much do you put the value on someone you love, or on anyone's life? that's priceless. You know, people accuse me of money, people accuse me of sex, Fred West holiday in the sun, Sutcliffe, but that was never the case. But this was the start of the big monster serial killer framing this. So that's why we put 18 black seds. Now the other thing was, like I said, I didn't have £21,000 to clear my name, but not one person that we marked would press charges and face me in court at Thetford Magistrate Court for a bit of graffiti and back up their monster black lies. Not one person, you know, especially with the Dis Express there. So, but that's what I was hoping for. Be done for criminal damage, a bit of graffiti. You know, we'd even clean the seds off if need be, but that would be all out in the public domain what was really going on in Dis. But they wouldn't press charges. But as I say, I was arrested for criminal damage, i.e. a bit of graffiti, 18 black seds, marking up those who were sending death threats, cutting my brake pipes, loosened the wheel on a fully loaded milk float, a van. So I lost the wheel on a busy main road at 40 miles an hour that nearly put me in a head-on collision with a lorry coming the other way at 50 miles an hour. So it would have been a head-on collision I wouldn't have walked away from. So marking up the hardcore in Dis who are pushing this big monster frame around Dis, again, who are all Dis council and Dis police spies, cronies and informers. So I'm arrested for a bit of criminal damage, taken to Dis police station for an interview. I take the folder with the 27 written death threats that Mr. Rowland saw in Rowland Solicitors, who said I had a very good case of character assassination. Because if people can destroy your good name, they can destroy your life, and that's what they've done. But at this police station, I was held for over 6 hours in a cell. No interview ever took place, which I was meant to be there for. I was denied a phone call. A solicitor of my choice, Simon Nichols Belmore Solicitors, told a duty solicitor, you know, wasn't available. And then at 16:15 on my police report, 4 officers burst in the cell wanting a piece of me. There for 15 minutes free for all. I left the cell with them at 16:30, also on my police report, and I was taken to maximum security at the Norfolk Bacon SS Pork Farm, Dr. Death's Black Pig Pen, forced drugged, injected with 3 lots of drugs, and then another 2 lots of drugs to counteract the 3 lots of drugs that I'd been injected with. And more bogus diagnoses put on me than on any serial killer, paedophile, rapist, mass murderer, terrorist that you can mention, past or present. All for a bit of graffiti. So that was their big monster black bluff. So now, like I say, I was completely buried alive. On one side of the Dr. Death SS silver bullet coin was all the monster Fred West, Sutcliffe, Steve Wright serial killer lies, and on the other side, you know, 7 bogus diagnoses. So as I say, they completely buried me alive. And like I mentioned in, you know, another video, Inspector Bunton raging in my face, "We will fix you, but right, you're dealing with the wrong person, the wrong people, i.e. Dis Council, MP, MEP, the mayor," and in their big black box serial killer frame, as I say, they buried me alive. So it was no wonder when I was at Sandringham staying in a disused beach hut, and Sandringham needed a fall guy to cover up a Prince Harry 666 birthday party, Prince of Darkness hybrid hosts, Case 39, Jack the Ripper crime, a 17-year-old sex trafficked girl hunted and abused and found dead. That everyone thought they could use me as the fall guy, because I was only 7 miles away from Sandringham, to cover up a Sandringham estate Jack the Ripper crime. So like I say, it's all on Johnny Botwright Facebook for the world to see free. It's linked to a forum that had 81,000 views before they put a new server on the forum, so I had to put the story up there again. Facebook kept burning down my account because, you know, people in high places didn't want to see or hear the truth being exposed and their big monster black bluff, porcupine serial killer line. And I say now it's just gone over 440,000 views. And who was telling the truth? And who has got a big monster black bluff full of porcupine serial killer lies that they want everyone in TikTok Toxic Town Dis to believe are true, all being pushed around by all their cronies, spies and informers. So anyhow, that's the one. So God bless, take care, keep safe, keep sweet, and we'll speak again soon. Bye.